All right, welcome to The Explainer. We are jumping right into the absolute chaos that's tearing through America's public health agencies. We're talking firings, wild accusations, and a system that looks like it's completely on fire. But hey, before we get into the thick of it, if you love getting smart fast, do me a quick favor and smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss what's coming. Okay, let's do this. It all kicks off with this bombshell quote from podcast host Joanna Coles. She's looking at the state of public health in America and basically sees a 5-alarm fire. So, the big question is who's holding the matches? And yeah, she does not pull any punches. She points the fingers squarely at the new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., saying he's the one who lit the fuse. Now, you gotta understand, this is way more than just some policy debate. This is being framed as an all-out war between two totally opposite forces. So picture this. In one corner, you've got RFK Jr., a Trump appointee famous for his skepticism of vaccines. He's the ultimate disruptor. And in the other corner, you have the entire medical establishment with the CDC as its champion. It's the classic disruptor versus the old guard. Okay, but hold on. You're probably asking, how on earth did a guy like RFK Jr. even get one of the biggest health jobs in the country? Well, Trump biographer Michael Wolff has a really interesting theory about the backroom dealing that went down. So here's the story Wolff tells. Apparently, Trump first offered Kennedy the vice presidency. RFK Jr. said no, but then he endorsed Trump and he brought his whole Make America Healthy Again crew with him. So Wolff says Trump kind of had to give him something big to keep that base happy. And believe me, this appointment did not go over quietly. It was like a bomb went off inside the Centers for Disease Control. So, first casualty? The brand new CDC director, Susan Monarez. She didn't even last a month. Her lawyers are saying she got the boot because she refused to, and I quote, rubber stamp unscientific, reckless directives from the new boss. And her firing? Oh, that was just the beginning. It was like the first domino to fall. After she was out, at least 4 other top-tier doctors and officials at the CDC just up and quit in protest. And if you want to know how it felt inside the CDC, just look at this quote from the resignation letter of their own chief medical officer, Dr. Deborah Awori. She didn't just disagree, she called it a violent attack on our agency. I mean, wow, that is some seriously intense language. All right, so this brings us to the big question. Why? Why all the chaos? Michael Wolff has a theory, and it gets pretty personal. Wolff's take is that RFK Jr. is driven by this deep, long-simmering bitterness over what he calls a wastrel life, basically feeling that his past kept him from the power he felt he was owed because he's a Kennedy. And just when you think this whole thing couldn't possibly get any weirder, well, yeah, it does. A lot weirder. Yeah, you're reading that right. Host Joanna Coles just drops this into the conversation. The fact that RFK Jr. himself has talked about having a parasitic worm eat part of his brain. For his critics, the idea of him running the nation's health department after that, well, it's a whole other level. So what's the White House got to say about all these explosive claims from Michael Wolff? Did they have a detailed rebuttal? Nope. They didn't really bother with the details. Instead, the White House comms director basically just attacked the messenger, calling Wolff, well, you can read it for yourself. Let's just say they're not a fan. Okay, but what's the long game here? Is there a point to all this chaos? According to Wolff, you bet there is. He thinks this isn't an accident. It's a cold, hard strategy. Wolff is absolutely convinced this is all a calculated move. He says he has no doubt that RFK Jr. is gearing up for a 2028 presidential run. By taking on the establishment, he's building up his cred with that anti-establishment MAGA base, making himself a serious contender. Which brings us to the massive question at the heart of all this. Is all the chaos we're seeing just a bug, a messy side effect of a new guy shaking things up? Or is the chaos the entire point, a feature specifically designed to launch a future campaign for the White House? So, what do you think? Is this a political masterstroke or a public health disaster? I really want to know what you think, so drop your theory in the comments. And hey, if you dug this explainer, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching.